Mixing with Mike plugin of the week comes from Overloud. It's the Comp76 FET Compressor V2. This is an update from their previous version, adding in some new features. It is essentially an 1176 emulation with some options. One of the new things that they've added in is 3 revisions. So you can get the revision A, which is the original revision with the blue stripe, so-called blue stripe. Then there is the low noise version, which is revision D, and then there is the revision F, which is actually the cleanest of the 3. So of the 3, A is the grittiest, D is kind of gets rid of some of the noise, but still got a little bit of grit to it. F is the cleanest of the 3 with the least amount of noise. You get the 3 basic ideas there. Okay, so they did that. They added in a low frequency sensitivity, which basically is filtering off by 10 dB low frequency. So as you sweep this upward, it sweeps up higher in frequencies. That's just to kind of limit the amount of RMS energy that may be gumming up the reactiveness of the compression itself. There's a harmonics amount control, so you can drive it a little bit. FET components will have a tendency, they're sometimes used to replace tubes. So you'll get a little bit of that kind of saturation, and I'll kind of give you some examples about that. And then there's also an oversample control. So you have the ability to run some oversampling in through this as well, just to give it run it at a higher quality. So we have all of those things. Let's see. Other than that, just some quick things. It basically operates just like an 1176, input and output controls, attack and release settings. The one unique thing about this that's different from hardware 1176 and all of the other emulations that you see is that they made the fast attack 1 and the slow attack 7, which is opposite of what the original unit is, the hardware unit is. So I'm not exactly sure why that's the case. Unless the units they emulated happen to be the other way around. But that's basically the way that it is. So just be aware of that a fast is 1, slow is 7 on the attack and the release times. And then you have the 4 ratios, 4:1, 8:1, 12:1, 20:1, and then the all buttons mode, which they've emulated here as well. Meter has all in out, gain reduction. You can also display harmonic distortion. And then the output control. Down here you have an input level and an output level, so you can actually drive stuff more, balance the output here, sort of before you get into here and after you get into here. Sometimes it's a better way of doing it, just to kind of drive things if that's what you want to do. There's also, you can operate it in mid-side mode. So this is another thing that they added in here. So you can operate the mid on its own, the side on its own, do different compression settings, and then that allows you to kind of make the center signal react, either suppress it to make the signal wider or suppress the sides to make it a little bit more mono. Yeah, so that's the basics of it. Let's I'm going to take this one down, call up another one here. Let's just start with a bass track. Now, I made some adjustments here on this since going over this, so we'll kind of dive into a couple things here just so you can kind of see what the different sounds are like. I have the bass soloed, so let's just listen to an example of it without, just so you can get an idea of where we're at from a starting point. Right, so you get kind of like an open kind of sound. It's interesting the way that they describe it. They call the A revision warmer sounding. I kind of think that the blackface version, the LN version, is warmer sounding, but I guess that's more of a taste thing, perhaps. I'm not sure. So in this case, I like more of the openness that you get from here. Now, if you switch to different ratios, if you kind of scale up here a little bit, you can get a little bit more warmth as you go up. And the gain reduction may change a little bit, but it also changes the knee characteristics, so it gets a little bit harder as you go up. All right, so you get like a subtle difference there. May or may not make a difference to you. You can also drive a little bit of distortion. Let's just check that out here. So if I wanted to overdrive this bass, I could actually drive it here. Let me back off a little bit here. Just to give you an idea what that's about. And then take this and then I can run the parallel. Right, so you can kind of give it a little bit of grit, kind of mix in as much of that as you can, as you want to, run it in a parallel, and then kind of dig in a sound that way. You can also do a similar kind of thing here, like with a room track. If you kind of drive this a little bit, I kind of did set up something here. Here, I'll So this is with a fast attack and fast release. You get a little glitching there in an all buttons mode, just, driving it super hard into the A mode. And you get a different flavor of distortion if you drive the different versions. And then I can mix that in with the drums here. Let me just solo that up. Just to get to kind of bring in some character and depth. So it's sort of a fun thing from that perspective, just working on it. Another classic use of the all buttons mode, if you're into that, is to work with a sort of medium. This is all backwards to me, so I'll do the best here. So fast release, kind of medium attack, or medium slow attack. And it's all kind of weird because the attack times, it's like 20 microseconds on the fast side, which is like ridiculously fast. That's 0.02 milliseconds. So very fast. And then the slowest attack time is 800 microseconds. So that's like 0.8 milliseconds. So less than a millisecond on the attack time, just to give you an idea of what that is. That's kind of part of the draw of it. But here I have a vocal track. So let's just see. I think I have to unmute the group or the stem here.
I died again. Please don't tell my friends, 'cause I don't want them to cry. No, not I. It's hard to witness with an intimate distance of friendship turned toxic, codependent. I will quit it, never fix it. I will quit it, never fix it. Jesus' yeast gave me a priest infection. He wouldn't give me bread. I'm on spew.
So you can see how like each one has a unique character, and I love this more than anything, just the ability to kind of switch between them. Mix in the amount of distortion. You hear how there's less distortion here, or less drive here. So let's see if we can drive a little bit more grit into it, because I kind of like this F version the best.
I died again. Please don't tell my friends, 'cause I don't want them to cry. No, not I.
So if I go to linear, that would turn it off altogether. There, you could just hear though how it adds like a nice, gives you that functionality, but be able to switch between those, and then the distortion kind of adding in. It's not a typical thing that you see overdriving like a FET compressor, although it does work in a really cool way here. So I kind of like that. Just as another side thing, which is something you would typically do. And then here, whoops, I went to did the opposite thing here. So I also have like a Hammond organ part where I did like a mid-side thing where I sort of can play around with changing the settings here. So fast attack, slow release on the mid signal, slow attack, fast release on the side signal. Yeah, and then you can do another thing that is like the opposite of that, where you take it and I'm keeping the ratio the same, but I can do the same settings here, just kind of do an opposite. See if this quickly turns around. So that'll make it a little bit more mono. More open. I think I like the original one there. That's kind of just the way that the compression kind of modulates with the movement of the Hammond organ part. Very cool one. I really like this. I'm not familiar with the first version of this, so I can't say sonically what other improvements. I love this though, this switching. I love the harmonics. Find these useful. Anytime you add a parallel processing and MS capability, you're already in a win-win situation, and I think they did a really great job in terms of the emulation. So, cool one from Overloud. Another one. I did the Comp LA, which I really liked as well. And that's another great one with the LA2 and LA3A being able to switch with them. So having this here as well is a great option. So plugin of the week, Overloud Comp76 FET Compressor V